Some anime studios put out hundreds of anime, while others only ever put out a few. Some have incredible portfolios of the highest and most popular anime, while others are one-hit wonders. Well, today I'm going to look at the catalog of the famous studio A-1 Pictures and go through my top 8 anime they've produced. Of course, there are some notable ones I haven't seen like Space Brothers or Magi, but I think I've hit most of the biggest. Let me know how many you've seen in the comments and which is your favorite from the studio. Number 8. Working. This charming workplace rom-com follows a full cast of staff working at the Wagnaria restaurant and their everyday shenanigans on the job. Each has their own quirks that are slowly expanded upon and worked through over the duration of the 3 seasons and finale special. The anime focuses on the comedic moments, but will occasionally delve into deeper personal parts of the characters' lives, giving depth to the many interconnected relationships on display. While not a visually impressive anime, the quick gag comedy in particular is done well through the simplified style that also helps keep the focus on the jokes and the characters themselves rather than what's happening around them. It was a complete adaptation that wonderfully expressed the steady but strong connections you may not realize you build with those you're constantly around, with an all-around touching ending to the story. There's also a spin-off about a whole new cast of quirky characters at another restaurant that's just as funny and endearing if you want even more. Number 7. 86. An intense mix of action and drama that follows a squadron whose mission is to preserve the luxurious lives of the privileged as they're repeatedly put in life-threatening situations. While subtle at first, you soon are hit with the realization of the dangers the characters constantly face and the callous nature surrounding the lives put on the line every battle. The dramatic moments are well written to keep you guessing and defy expectations for incredibly emotional payoffs of both relief and despair. The anime focuses on how the most unlikely of bonds can be forged and how they grow whether you want them to or not. Even those you might never expect to connect with may defy your expectations and become irreplaceable all the same. There are hints of mystery intertwined with each fight, as they must also find the truth not only within their own walls, but of what lies beyond the seemingly endless onslaught from a far-off enemy. Beautiful art and animation throughout intensifies the heavy action-based fights and more intimate emotional moments as well. We are still waiting for news of a sequel, unfortunately, but know that if it does happen, you will absolutely be hearing about it. Number 6. Kaguya-sama, Love is War. A hilarious rom-com that follows the student council members of a prestigious school through their daily lives caught in a vicious game of love that some aren't even aware they're a part of. The two in question each fight tooth and nail to make sure they don't confess first regardless of who else gets caught in the crossfire so as not to be the lesser in the relationship. Each scenario the characters are put in adds creative twists to the typical school anime tropes based around the tumultuous dynamic of outwardly defying the one you love until they admit to their admiration first. Other characters are just as quirky with interesting dynamics of their own as they attempt to live a normal school life as best they can. While periodic school events progress the story and relationships, the anime really shines during the smaller moments when the characters run with whatever new activity they're trying out to pass the time in the student council office. The anime is also well animated with nice visuals, but instead of focusing on fidelity or realism, uses that potential for overly dramatic bits and comedic gags. While the anime only covered just over half of the manga, it is a great story that is fulfilling enough, so hopefully the recently announced TV special will only enhance it further. Number 5. Your Lie in April. A beautiful yet heartbreaking story that all starts with a lie and continues through to the realization of truth. The dramatic themes of familial trauma and the lengths one would go for what they love deliver an emotional yet inspiring journey that embodies the human experience. The characters' relationships are front and center as they're built, crumble at times, and then rebuilt even stronger than before through love, loss, and growth. The idea of love is thoroughly explored across the different interpretations each has, not only for others but for themselves despite whatever seemingly impossible obstacle may appear before them. The soundtrack also complements each scene, and the musical pieces done during performances in particular stands out as some of the best in anime. The visuals are also extremely detailed with great animation that draws you into the world for a breathtaking experience. The characters are mature beyond their years, but keep a sense of innocence and rebellion against the expectation placed on them as they learn to be the people they want to be. Whether you're seeing it for the first time or you're preparing for the yearly rewatch in April, this anime will have you feeling a plethora of emotions, so make sure you have tissues nearby. Number 4. How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend. This is an unassuming rom-com with light ecchi and harem tropes that starts off with the simple premise of making a game, but slowly turns to a much deeper character-driven story. The newly formed group must constantly overcome the hurdles making a new game brings, from cooperation of the developers to production of the physical product, and finally into the hands of prospective players. Romance eventually begins to creep into the circle, and it's not always happy, inevitably leading to life-altering choices they won't be able to return from once made. The ecchi is also pretty tame, choosing to focus on the character dynamics through a more serious lens than to provide distracting fanservice. Each character has their own goals, which evolve throughout the story and at times conflict with others, leading to realistic conflicts with no perfect solution. The anime isn't afraid to use narrative twists either, which keeps you engaged and personally left me speechless at times. This remains one of the few anime I was genuinely angry at characters while fully understanding and accepting why things turned out the way they did. Not because they were poorly written or I just didn't like them in general. Number 3, Anohana. A beautiful supernatural drama about the process of moving on from lost loved ones and how, while healing may not seem easy, will lead you to a much better place than you started. As you slowly learn about each of the characters, the details of their past also begins to be revealed in a touchingly sincere story of a group of friends who drifted apart as they try to grant their old friend one final wish. Dramatic twists act as the catalyst that lead to new growth, and as they begin to heal, discover that not only could they help themselves, but others who also remain trapped by the past. And while the overarching themes may be dark, a lot of the anime showcases the less significant and innocent moments of kids just being kids and having fun, which only furthers the emotional impact of the fast approaching climax. The movie revisits and expands upon the ending of the show to give insight into each of the characters' lives a year later, with its own twist of being split between each person's point of view. The direction across the entire series is phenomenal as well, and highlights every scene for the greatest effect without feeling forced or taking away from the less important ones. This was one of my first anime, and it not only left a huge impact to this day, but opened my eyes to the depths the medium can reach. Number 2, Fairy Tail. Famous for its use of the power of friendship, this fantasy anime is a blast to watch, with tons of hilarious moments, action-packed fights, and a killer soundtrack that hits no matter how many times it's replayed. While the themes never get too dark, it's not afraid to add some real dangers periodically to keep things fresh, with a slowly expanding cast that all become irreplaceable members of the guild. Being a long-running anime, it does have its fair share of filler, but most are single episodes with the exception of 2 whole filler arcs that are just as engaging as the canon and give more depth to certain characters. I also enjoyed the increased quality of the art the longer the show went on, as it was modernized and fit the increasing stakes of each new season within the series. Each arc felt fulfilling in its own right, while slowly expanding the greater plot threads and reintroducing newly connected details from previous ones into a fantastic finale. The sequel series was also a great introduction to a whole new adventure and looked great, while setting up even greater threats than they had ever fought before. Hopefully it ends up getting fully adapted as well, because frankly I'm not ready to say goodbye just yet. Number 1, Sword Art Online. One of the biggest anime of the last decade that popularized an entire genre it wasn't even a part of, and delivered some amazing sequel seasons that each had their own twist on the original's formula. It creatively uses common death game tropes throughout to build up to emotional climaxes while giving each of the characters their own goals to work towards for those same moments. The first season in particular was a great fantasy adventure with real dangers it was always quick to remind you about, while the second tries to lure you into a sense of security before adding a mysterious twist to the action. The show really improves during the third season though, by not only recapturing the tense atmosphere and world of the original season, but improving the already fantastic visuals and giving great depth to the characters over a longer time. As the cast progressively grows, there's also a steady expansion of relationships between the characters throughout the series that gives more meaning to climactic fights and life-altering decisions. Unfortunately, there hasn't been a mainline entry in over 5 years, but between the spin-off series and the movie retelling and expanding upon the first season through a different point of view, there has been a steady stream of content to enjoy. And that's it for my list. Have you seen all of these anime from A-1 Pictures? Let me know which one was your favorite, or if it was another one I just didn't mention. They have an immense catalog, and I definitely haven't seen them all. And if you have any suggestions for longer videos you'd like to see me do like this, let me know as well. Don't forget to like, follow, and share for more anime news, reviews, or recommendations.